Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Finding Your Feet, the financial planning podcast for students. Now, before we get into the first episode, I just want to do a quick introduction to myself and actually the purpose behind this podcast. So, my name is Graham Morris, and I'm actually a current financial planning student. Now, touching on the reason why I wanted to do this podcast is, if you're like me in my first year, I was very unsure about where career in financial planning could take me, and obviously the career progressions, there's many different roles in financial planning and different avenues you can take. So I wanted to help you guys understand a bit more and sort of find your feet, so to speak, into understanding a bit more on which way you want to go a bit earlier on in your university journey. Things that will be discussed is obviously, why financial planning and what can a career in financial planning lead to. So if you're like me, I was very confused, obviously unsure about if there was any jobs at all, how to get a job, and obviously finding the right firm for me. This was probably the biggest fear I had in coming into this degree. Without further ado, I'll introduce our first guest today is James Wrigley. He is a principal down at First Financial down in Melbourne, and he's gladly come onto the show today to give us a bit more insight into his journey and obviously give you a bit more advice into what he thinks students would benefit from.
Hi James, how you going?
Yeah, good, thanks.
That's good.
Thanks for having me here.
No worries at all. James Wrigley is a principal down at First Financial in Melbourne. So thanks for joining us today, James, and really value your time today. James, just quickly, I just wanted to ask you, why are you so passionate about financial planning as a career?
To be honest, I kind of stumbled my way into financial advice. So I did a commerce degree at uni, standard commerce degree. I didn't do accounting or anything like that. So you come out with a piece of paper, but no particular areas of strong qualification. Worked for a corporate super fund for a couple of years. I worked for Mercer for a couple of years. The last job that I had there was training about half a dozen people that had come over from India on how to do my job, and they took it with them when they went back to India. So it was an outsourcing training that I was doing at the end. And then I started applying for jobs. I'd started studying a graduate diploma of applied finance at the time whilst I was working, and ended up getting a job here. The business was called something else, and nearly 12 years ago ended up getting a job here as a client service manager, which is kind of the entry point for most grads into our business as client service managers, and just absolutely loved it. Like the interaction with clients. At the time, I was blown away by how much money people had, and now that I've been in the space, the clients that I was dealing with then, they may have very well have been people on the age pension, but I was just blown away by how much money they had, the lives that they were leading, and just the things that we were able to do to help them work through what might otherwise be pretty complicated scenarios. Loved every minute of it. In the early days, still do, and I've kind of stuck around ever since.
No, that's awesome. I guess a lot of people that I've run into as well, they've sort of just fallen into the industry from different career paths, and it's just worked out. So that's awesome. And what do you like most about the industry?
Look, it's the interaction day to day with people. Like, we're actually talking about them and their lives and what's important to them and what are their challenges. You find people really open up, and it's almost I almost struggle to a degree, if you call it, going out into the real world, outside of the office. I'm quite comfortable asking people quite personal questions, and then for some reason you go out into outside of work life, and asking someone how much their mortgage is or how much they earn is kind of taboo topics. But it's just natural for me in my day-to-day interactions with people to be asking those kind of things. So I guess what I love about most of it is just maybe taking some of the burden off people, helping them through some challenges, and just really making a difference in their life, whatever that means for different people, but making a difference in their life.
Oh, cool. That's an awesome motivation, I guess, to have to help people. I guess people, particularly in Australia and around the world, the number one thing that they struggle with is finances. So being able to help people with those finances and get them on track to their goals is, I guess, a very rewarding feeling.
Yeah, yeah. And look, I guess we can't help everyone. Some people don't need our help, and that's perfectly fine. There's probably a lot of people that do, a lot of people that don't admit to themselves that they do, but then there's also a slice of the population that doesn't need our help, and good luck to them. That's perfectly fine too.
Definitely. And what are some of the challenges that you face in your role or within the industry that you faced?
Look, to date, I think I've had a pretty smooth run through. Like the business that I work in, it's a big business with with kind of pretty robust structures and processes and those kind of things around career progression and the like. So I haven't had too many major challenges. Certainly other friends that I've made in the industry that work in other businesses have had much tougher times of things, certainly of late, with changes that are going through the industry around education standards and business valuations and a whole lot of things. So there's a lot of people out there that are really struggling at the moment with all of that that's going through. I guess touch wood, where I sit in the business that I happen to work in, we've escaped most of that pretty smoothly. I guess the biggest challenge for me was, I guess, just building being confident in myself that I could deal with clients on my own. So I spent a few years working as an associate advisor alongside one of the other principals of the business, kind of learning how to engage with clients and how all of that works. But just having the confidence in myself to do it myself when I was the only one sitting in the meeting room with the clients, and that was a bit daunting at the time. But it's just second nature to me. Yeah,
definitely. So were you a bit more of a shy person at the beginning? Is that right?
Yeah. So, like I was, through high school and the like, I always thought I was the shy person. I was always told I was the shy person. And when I first became an advisor, one of the things I remember saying to Ben, the principal that I was reporting to at the time, I said, look, it's not in my personality to go out and find new clients. Like, we need trying to grow a business, you need new clients to come in. And he said, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you are who you are. People will like you for who you are, and other people won't like you for who you are. That doesn't matter. You are who you are. So, yeah, that challenge for me was overcoming, am I the shy person or not? And just, I think through age and experience, I've overcome that.
Yeah, cool. And what sort of advice would you give someone who might be a bit shy, I guess from a student point of view? What sort of advice would you give around them?
I guess the biggest tip that I could give is just to take your time. Like, if you're finishing uni and you're just starting out, chances are you're probably in your early 20s or something like that. You've got many years of work ahead of you. It's not a race. Take those first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years out of uni to just try and soak in as much as you can from people in a business where you may end up getting a job, or others. Like use that time to just learn and grow as much as you can. Like, you learn all the technical stuff going through uni, but really that's only a tiny little part of the job, is the technical stuff. The biggest part of the job is being able to have conversations and interact with the clients at a level where they build trust with you and confidence in you, and you only learn that in time. And so, the number one thing that I can suggest to any students that are entering the industry is just be patient. Don't, I'd almost discourage you from taking a job with a firm that says, come and work here, and in 6 months' time you'll be an advisor, and off you go. I kind of almost shudder when I hear those kind of things. I think it takes a much longer time. There's now standards around it anyway, but I think it takes a much longer time than that to be fully competent to have those conversations with clients.
Definitely. And you mentioned trust is very important. Why is that very important with the client?
The whole relationship's just built on trust. So if the client doesn't trust you, well, they're not going they're not going to seek your advice. They're not going to pay for your advice. So, I guess, the whole thing is a trust relationship. It's not as if we're delivering something tangible. We're not building them a desk or something like that and saying, look, I built you the desk, pay me for building the desk. It's a much more intangible the work that we do. So
That's right.
So the whole thing is built on trust.
Definitely. Then that's I guess came out with the Royal Commission is clients' best interest and what's in their best interest. I guess we have great influence in making sort of assisting people with their decisions financially, and I guess that trust has to be there in order to to service those clients.
Yeah, and that's it. And look, I think in some of the negative stuff that came out during the Royal Commission and all the rest of it, there was probably trust in all of those relationships, but that trust was potentially abused in one way, shape, or form through that relationship. So we have a responsibility in that when we're in a trusted relationship with these people that need to be acting ethically and honestly and all of those kind of things.
Definitely. Oh, awesome. And just from a recruitment point of view, you said that the client service manager role is something that you'd start off at a graduate point in your firm.
Yep.
I guess what do you look for in a graduate like myself who's about to finish uni, and what are some of the aspects that you look into?
So it's not so much about the technical stuff. So it's, yes, that's important, but in time you can learn the technical things. So if someone doesn't necessarily have the best grades ever, that's not the end of the world. It's more the person. Do they care? Do they take ownership? Do they take responsibility for what they're doing? The technical stuff and the engaging with clients and all the rest of it that you can learn on the job. Where we really look for those attributes of a person that you can't be taught. You either got it or you don't. You either care or you don't about what it is that you're doing. So that's the number one thing that we look for. For people that are joining at higher levels, so associate advisors, we actually go through some testing to like kind of personality traits and a couple of other things that we get people to do some testing for, not so much at the client service level, but at higher levels if we're hiring. We get some testing done so that we have a bit more of an understanding of the person outside of the interview, that we might have with them.
Yeah, cool. And I guess what can a student do to find their first role in the industry? What sort of tips would you give? Applying on Seek, or like going out and asking someone for a coffee catch up, or what are the sort of things that students can be doing proactively to sort of get that foot in the door?
I guess all of the above. So there's Seek. We'll often have jobs on Seek from time to time, as do a lot of other financial planning firms. LinkedIn is a great place. You're going out doing this kind of podcast stuff, getting your name and ideas and voicing things out there. That kind of thing is really powerful. Most financial advisors, certainly most business owners, have some type of presence on LinkedIn. So there's scope for building relationships and engaging with these people, other financial advisors and business owners through there. Seek, and then I guess the final one is recruitment agents. So talking to them. Often it might be a recruitment agent that's advertising a job on behalf of a business. You might not be applying directly through a Seek ad directly to a financial planning business. So I just talking to some of those recruitment agents and getting on their books to help you from there.
Cool, awesome. Thanks for that. That's really helpful. I'm sure the students will definitely benefit from that insight. And I guess lastly, one of the things I want to speak about is, as I'm coming towards the end of my studying journey at university. What's one sort of a piece of advice you can give me to set me up for a successful career in financial planning?
don't think that your studying's over with. So, just because you've finished the degree, there's often a whole lot more studying that you'll need to do. So whether you go down the track of completing the CFP course or something like that, there's aged care accreditations and the like. I mistakenly thought, hey, I've got this commerce degree, people are going to give me a job. And it wasn't until I had a meeting with a recruitment agent many years ago, and she said, well, what else have you done since? And up until then, I didn't even think that I needed to do anything more. I thought, I finished my university degree, doesn't someone give me a job? And it was anything but the case. So I guess, a lot of people like yourself are coming out of university now with courses that qualify them in the financial advice space, and technically they can go on and be an advisor straight away. But I think the number one thing is, don't think that the textbooks are behind you. You've probably got more studying and learning to go. And then the second thing is, as I was saying before, is just be patient. Take your time to soak up as much as you can from whoever you're working with, whoever your mentors are, and reach out to people that maybe are outside of the business that you work. You might come across someone that's happy to help, or catch up for coffee or whatever it might be. Provide some guidance.
Cool, awesome. That's really helpful insights there. I'd just like to share a bit of how I got my first job to the students as well. So basically, what I did,
Sure.
I met a guy called Nat Daly down at a networking event in Brisbane, and essentially I was a bit put off by going to speak with him. I was like, well, should I go and speak with him? Sort of like all these things were going through my mind. I decided, what? If I go and speak to him and nothing happens, well, I'm in the same position I am in now. So I challenged myself to go and speak to him, and I did. And we had a great conversation, and he said, this is the best conversation I've had all night. And through that, he gave me his business card, and a few months later, I followed up with him and caught up with coffee, and since then I've been starting to do work experience with him. So that's just where things can lead, I guess, in the financial planning space, giving that first gig.
That's it. So you're brave enough to go up and talk to someone. I think that's what it takes. And then I think once you've got that first job, any future jobs become a whole lot easier. So whether you stay wherever you end up in your first role, getting that first job's the hardest. Once you've got that, it's a relatively easy industry to move around if you're not liking wherever you're working and you want to do something else. Once you've got the first job, the second job becomes a lot easier.
Definitely. No, that's awesome. And so that's great. It's great advice there. Thanks for that, James. Really appreciate that. So hopefully the students got a lot of value. I'm sure they would have. I actually got a lot out of that as well. So thanks for your time. And I just wanted to challenge students out there to actually reach out to somebody or go have that conversation that they don't want to have. That they're afraid to have, rather. You never know where it could lead. For myself personally, it worked out great. I've got my first gig, so I definitely challenge people to go out there and just have that coffee, make that conversation.
Good on you. People can learn a lot from you. Good on you.
Thanks. It's one of my biggest anxieties, getting a job, so I guess I just had to try and find a way to differentiate myself through communicating with people. So yeah, there you go. And lastly, I just want to touch on as well. James has as well has said that he's happy for students to reach out to him on LinkedIn. So feel free to add James Wrigley on LinkedIn and ask him whatever questions you like. He's happy to have a chat. So thanks for that, James. Really appreciate that for the students. And once again, thank you for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day to I guess give some insight into the career as a financial planner and for the students coming into that space.
Good. Thanks, Graham.
No worries. Thanks, James.